Hello, welcome to Friday Leadership Deep Dive. My name is Monica Vegalam, and I'm a leadership and executive coach. And this is the show where we dive into leadership from the lens of um, developmental psychology, ontological coaching, and Eastern spiritual wisdom. So, hope you're having a great Friday. And today I have something very exciting for you, which is actually very dear to me in the sense that this is the topic I had to really learn as a coach, and I want to talk about that today. So, the topic we have is how to support someone through conflict. And what we are going to cover is a different way of supporting people. And I'll go through a case study in from one of the books that talks about ontological leadership. It's a different way of leadership than the conventional default approach. And then I'll try to, by reading through the case study, I'll try to explain bits, some concepts. And my hope is that you take away today a different way of supporting your reports or any of your mentees, coaches, or even your peers to solve conflicts in a more empowered way. So, the what's the default way? Let's talk about that first. Imagine somebody comes to you and says that, hey, I'm really really bothered by this person. They're just I don't know what's wrong with them. They just keep blocking me, or whatever that conflict might be. And if somebody would, well, let me take my case, right? The default way is that when somebody comes with that problem, I would jump straight into it and ask them details about what's going on. And then kind of we put our brains together, solve the problem in the sense, what could this person say, and what are some other ways they can prevent from this happening again, or really feel for that person, empathize with them, um, and like kind of get involved in it. And that's a great approach. It's not that there is anything wrong with it, but as you are dealing with more leadership complexity, there is a point when you have to kind of deal with a lot of this. There will be like clashes in strategic decisions, disagreements, and there you might see personality differences, or you might just see like this, there's like unexplainable resistance some people have to other people, and they just block each other and make no progress. So as you kind of deal with like bigger vision, bigger scope of work, that kind of becomes the default, and you end up firefighting all the time, and like lot of energy gets spent into solving problems one after the other daily, like clockwork. So no wonder like leadership becomes like an overwhelming job, and keeps a lot of people awake at night, and is really really stressful. So the way out of this, or at least something that can make this 10% easier, let's say, is shift away from problem solving approach to playing with possibilities. I'll explain what that is in a minute. Um, but first, something I want to share is that as a coach, um, this is kind of the um thing that I had to train myself a lot on. in the sense that coming from a STEM background and a software engineering background, I love problems. I love kind of diving into problems, finding solutions, and then like helping people. And I also consider myself like really, I value service, empathy, and helping people. So what that does is that when people present me with some sort of like dissatisfaction in their life or a conflict, I immediately like jump in with them and then would help them. Now as a coach, I have learned like through my training that it's a very kind of ineffective approach, in the sense that, let's say somebody comes to me with a problem that my manager always does this, I don't know how to deal with it, like my co-founder keeps doing this very irritating thing, I don't know, like um what happens is like, if I give my solution in that, it might help, it might not help, and it won't like develop the person, and I have to put in a lot of effort to kind of figure out. So then that's when all this like imposter syndrome comes in, like I'm not good at this, or um, I don't know what to do here, I haven't been in that situation, what would I do, what would I suggest to this person? Or, well, I know what the right thing is, why doesn't this person just understand this perspective I'm providing? So like there is like a spiral that we can get into, and then take us away from a broader range of solutions that can be available. So the core of the work is to develop leadership in others, as in develop people who come to you as leaders, not followers. So when you problem solve with someone, they kind of get used used to coming to you and dependent on your advice, rather than develop themselves. So me calling myself as a developmental coach, that means that I have to really let go of the problem solving approach. Of course, when I'm able to give some advice and that lands, it feels really good for my ego. But it doesn't help people develop at all. It just makes people dependent on you. And it's a habit that I had to like train out of, and then train myself in a different way. And I came across this different approach in from ontological leadership, which is called playing with possibility. So I'll try to explain that through like a couple of metaphors, because it's really kind of difficult, like an abstract concept. So imagine if somebody is in a ditch and they ask you for help, the default approach is to kind of give them a rope or a ladder and say like climb up. Or if somebody is kind of like in front of a tree and then trying to like really axe it down, um, the default approach, and they're like, oh, I'm so overwhelmed, I'm so tired, I'm not able to do this. The default approach is to kind of like tell them like take a break, or give them a different tool, or give them a process or a system, yeah, do this. But that kind of is like a limited perspective, because let's say this person is kind of really focused on the tree in front of them, but then is actually in a forest and they are trying to find their way through. Cutting down that tree in front of them is not going to help them. What you want to do as a leader is to kind of take this person out of the out of the ground and look at like look at the entire picture, as in, oh, like get elevation and see here is a forest, and cutting down a tree might not help you at all. So playing with possibility is kind of like getting somebody to the edge of their thinking, and then expanding the range of the solutions that are possible. So if you're a person who is like, I know the answer, I know what to do here, this is going to be extra difficult because you will have to set that aside. And I am like that person. Like, I love giving advice, I love telling people this is the thing you should do. I mean, it's so obvious. So that really limits things. Like, as I said, right, it takes you away from the bigger picture of seeing that we are dealing with a forest here, not the tree in front of you. So then you become a leader who gets people to see like a bigger 10,000 foot view of something, and then help them design the solution there from that perspective. That really taps into and challenges the other person's resourcefulness, and that helps them kind of really confront their fear. And when that happens, like, my experience has been that uh, people get independent and sovereign in the things that they're doing, and at the same, like, and become more leader like, and at the same time be in relationship with you longer, and kind of um, partner with you longer. That's what, like, really high performers want. They want you to kind of believe them and look at them in a different way than like something is wrong with you, and then really draw out the full potential out of them. And if you're able to like be that way with your reports or your mentees or anybody who comes to you, you'll kind of create magic together. And I'm so amazed by what happens in like certain coaching sessions when we play with possibility instead of problem solve. And one of the things that I do in my practice is like coaching practice is to get leaders together, get all my clients together, and have them practice with each other. And the conversations, like, I try to demonstrate problem solving approach by having two people problem solve something versus having people play with possibility. Like, the arena that opens up is so big. It's amazing, the shift what that can do. So now what I'll do is, like, that's like a brief overview of what this can, like, I'm trying to explain something very abstract here, so bear with me. I'll try to explain that through a case study. And if you're live and if you're watching this, please send me a comment and send me any questions that come up for you so that I can explain this better, because I'm always trying to find language to put an experience into words and into like theory and framework, which is really hard to do actually. So if you have comments, questions, or if anything seems missing, please let me know in the comments, and I'll that'll be really helpful for everyone who might be watching this, because we can address that. All right, let's see if I have anybody live and if I have any comments. Okay, we do have 5 viewers. Hey, thank you for watching. Okay, now what I'll do is I'll go through a case study. And this is the book I'm talking about. This is called The Last Word on Power. And amazing, fantastic book. I highly recommend reading this, because it elevates your leadership and your ability to envision what is possible. Because, like, the subtitle of the book itself is Executive Reinvention for Leaders Who Must Make the Impossible Happen. So this book is based out of the work of this person called Werner Erhard, I think. I don't know how to pronounce that name. I'm sorry if you know the person and like if you know his work and I'm pronouncing it really badly. I'm so sorry for that. But this person, Werner, basically, I think like he had his work was like in the arena of getting like in the arena of bringing enlightenment and leadership together, and which is kind of like what I'm trying to do. And then what he did is like he was able to build some distinctions and frameworks, and he started this whole stream called ontological leadership. And this book is kind of based on his work. So there's like a whole institute dedicated to that, and a lot of coaching comes from a lot of excellent coaches come from that institute. I now forget the name of the institute. It's fine. If I remember, I'll mention that in upcoming live shows. So make sure you're here and follow my talks. So, okay, let's get into this live case study. Live. All right. So here, what we are doing is kind of trying to embody the being of coach as opposed to, let's say, the being of an engineer. And when I say that, engineer is like the problem solving approach, and here I'm saying there is a different being way of being for you, which is the being of coach. Okay, here it says suppose, and this, if you do get this book, it's on, this case study is on page 210. And it's a really fantastic book. I highly recommend reading it. Let's start off. So suppose someone named Terry comes to you with a request: help me understand my problem with my immediate boss. Okay, and then you ask for the details, and Terry relates the story. So it seems that the boss has it in for Terry. The boss had promised once upon a time to be Terry's mentor and made implicit promises about grooming Terry for advancement. But those promises haven't been fulfilled. Instead, Terry has been relegated to low status positions. Terry has been singled out as inferior by the boss, or at least not recognized publicly as much as some of Terry's peers, who don't do nearly as much work or have nearly as much experience. It's now obvious that the boss has had it for Terry ever since they began working together. All Terry can do is spin wheels and protest, and every time Terry protests, the boss gets angrier and cuts off more privileges. At this point, the two of them are drawn into a continually escalation cycle of anger and recrimination, from which it looks like there's no escape and within which they're forced to keep working together. Okay, so if you kind of got phased out, the problem we are describing is that you are someone, as in we reading this is someone, let's say a leader in an organization, and Terry comes to you saying that, hey, I'm having this conflict and this dynamic with my boss, where he constantly like gets angry at me, puts me off, dismisses me. He doesn't recognize me publicly as much as he recognizes other reports. And he made promises that he will help me advance, but he's just not doing that. But I can't get out, and we are forced to work together. That's what the story is that Terry is kind of telling you. But the situation is, you know, Terry's boss, and you recognize immediately that Terry is interpreting the situation in a certain way, and the truth might be something else, because you know the boss, that side of the story might be something else. Now, here, um, let's talk about the distinction of interpretation versus facts. Here, the author is calling this a story. Um, and we, in our coach training, we do call something as a story, as in when a client comes and says that, hey, I'm having this problem, and this happened, and that happened. The What we do as a coach is to kind of look at that objectively, as in like a story. When I say story, it doesn't mean that we dismiss it as not true. Stories are true, but it is intermingled with interpretations and facts. So we don't want to buy into the story. We don't want to insert ourselves into the story and take that as the ultimate truth. So another way to probably demonstrate this is that um, I see this often happen. Okay, somebody says, "Oh, my boss, he got like really angry at me, and he really disrespected me, and he said that I keep playing games, and um, I'm playing politics or something like that, and he doesn't see how much I'm invested in this company, how much I'm loyal, and how authentic I try to be all the time, and how much I'm contributing to the team." And he just comes to this one-on-one, and he keeps getting angry at me. What the heck is his problem? I don't understand how to deal with him or how to work with him. So now, as like what normally we would all do would be like, "Oh my god, that's a terrible boss. Oh my god, I'm so sorry you have to go through that." That is like completely normal, and also like probably a decent way to relate to another human being who's having a difficult experience. But the thing is, our mind kind of gets attached to the content of what they are saying. Why? Because we kind of put ourselves like, the basic definition of empathy, right? We put ourselves in their shoes, and as they I'll talk about how it happens for me. When I listen to something like that, I put myself in their shoes, and then kind of like play the story plays inside my head as if I am the central character. So then like certain emotions come up, like, "Oh shit, that's like such a bad experience, I don't want to be there." And then we express that to that person as like an empathetic response, right? And we call this empathy, but it's actually projection of something that we don't want to experience. So that's like the hook. And as someone, as a leader who wants to be coach as well, you want to unhook from the story and look at it objectively. So, okay, let's go to the next part of the case study. So that's why this is like a story, and it doesn't mean that you dismiss the story as in, hey, that's just a story, don't get lost in it or something. That's like the completely wrong thing to say. No, don't say that. It's just that you are getting some elevation from the situation given. Okay, so the next part is that the author kind of talks about like seeing what's underneath the story, as in uh, Terry is coming with this interpretation that things shouldn't be this way. This is wrong. Like that boss should not be behaving this way with me. That's the thing you want to catch. Like, where is the person who's coming treating the situation as it should or shouldn't be, right, wrong, or good or bad? We want to um, kind of collect just the just the frame of mind the people are coming in. It's not necessarily to kind of point to them. It's how humans operate all the time. We operate like by default, we operate in right wrong context. When something aligns with our belief system, we say that this is right way, and this is wrong way. When a perspective is kind of like completely different, like let's say like I was vegan for some time, and if somebody talks about eating meat, I'd be like, man, okay, fine, I'm not going to do that. But underneath what's going on is that that is a wrong thing to do for me, even if I don't project it on the other person because of whatever empathy that I have, or like openness that I think I have. There is still like the process of categorizing or bucketizing things into right and wrong. And that's what you want to look for. You want to look for how the person is making something as should or should not be. And as a leader, you want to be operating with reality as is, not reality as it should be. That is like the main message of this book. I'll repeat that. Basically, you want to be operating reality as is and not reality as it should be. So when we get into like Terry should be this way, the boss should be this way, the state of the organization shouldn't be this way, all of that stuff causes a lot of suffering, overwhelm, and anxiety. And it's like the default way our mind operates. Nobody's spared from this. But what we are practicing is to kind of get out of that process into looking at reality as is, and from there we create something new. Okay, so Terry is this way and the boss is this way. There are some dynamics happening. What can I create from this? That way, you kind of like turn everything into opportunities and stop firefighting. That's how we kind of like my teacher used to call this something declutter. We declutter our energy. We are like going about like leaky buckets, like leaking our energy all over the place. And this kind of shift in mindset saves a lot of resources and time and energy. All right, so I'll go next. What this book says. Um, so you can hear the echo of "things shouldn't be this way" in quotes in Terry's comment, and for instance, that the boss has not been getting up every day and thinking, "How can I ruin Terry's life today?" Right? Like nobody gets up thinking that way. Maybe some people do, like maybe some people have things against some other people and they're constantly strategizing, but a lot of times the focus is less on other people and focus is more on like how can I get things done, for most people. So you can guess the boss has been reacting to interpretations of Terry's actions that are every bit as overwhelming as Terry's own interpretations of the boss. So as I go through this, I know some of these still can still be like pretty abstract. And if there is something missing for you and you're not like understanding, please share in the comments, and I'll try to explain that in a different way. Okay, so here it says your first task as a coach is to stay out of the cycle of Terry's interpretation. And it doesn't matter whether you agree with Terry's view of the boss or not. So unhook yourself from any interpretation of how it went wrong, how it ought to be, because that's where like that's like our discomfort. Like stay in that discomfort if that's like the default way you kind of operate all the time, and unhook yourself from that, so then you can respond and not react. Okay, just stay in the discomfort, I observe even when like a client brings something to me, Lord, for a long time, the first thing was to kind of tell them, well, you should just be doing it. Like, uh, let's see if I want to share this thing that happened with a client. No, I think I won't share that because it's confidential. But let's see, a version of it would be like, um, well, my partner said something to me, and it just left me like really anxious. So then the immediate thing that came from me was like, well, are you setting enough boundaries? Right? That's like advice, and we don't want to go there because that's very limited. We don't know, like we don't want them to kind of depend on us for answers. We want to help develop leadership and not followership, right? So I had to like really bite my tongue. Like literally, I would bite my tongue and then stay there, stay with the discomfort, and then get more curious into the person. Um, I'll tell you what that means. Get curious about the person. So the default way is, the author describes here. In other words, don't get drawn into attacking the boss, defending the boss, agreeing with Terry, disagreeing with Terry, or analyzing Terry. If you're not pulled into Terry's state of being upset, then you can be of some assistance. Don't get enmeshed in a conversation of assertions about which interpretation of events is like the ultimate truth. So you might be tempted to think something like the real tragedy here is that Terry and the boss could work so well together if they gave each other half a chance. I'd better talk to Terry's boss and remonstrate. So that's like an obvious fix. Like, okay, it's really sad that they're having this dynamic between them. Let me try to fix that. I'll go talk to Terry's boss and see what's up. Right? But that is also an interpretation of how things should be. It locks you into trying to improve Terry's relationship with the boss based on what that relationship has been in the past, instead of helping lead Terry to a new future, to a new possibility. So, one approach. Okay, so the one approach to support Terry in this situation is to ask them, hey, Terry, what bothers you most about everything that's happened? Why this question is so phenomenal and powerful, I'll tell you. Because the way our minds are designed is that our thinking is kind of limited to logic. Okay, when we start trying to push people outside of that logic, or even like yourself, right? Like when I try to push myself outside of logic, my mind kind of like reroutes me, and that's how we get into like overthinking and like spinning in circles in the same kind of solutions that we can see. So there is like a real fog that comes in, and our mind doesn't cannot take the perspective more than what's available to us. So like we can't outthink our mind. And here, by being a leader with such a person, you want to push them just a little bit outside of the edge. And how to do that is to bring their mind back into themselves, as in coach the person, not the story. Okay, so whatever the story might be they come with, you just ask them, okay, what is bothering you most about this situation? Like what is bothering you about the situation? Because then that questions the interpretation that they have, like about how things should be, how the boss should be, how the organization should be, etc., etc., etc. So then this kind of like suddenly puts them and challenges them, like what's bothering me about this? um Let's see what the author says next. Kind of describes is what bothers Terry the most might be any variety of things. It might be a feeling of being stuck with no way out from under this boss. It might be the disappointment of seeing career opportunities lost, or the knowledge of how terrific a career Terry could have. Like, if only my boss gave me the right sort of mentoring, my career would be a blast. So this does, it reveals a little more information than that is available for Terry. So you are kind of redirecting them into their experience of the whole situation, not the story of the situation. You're helping them get kind of objective, and also take a look at the emotions that they are experiencing and the interpretations that are happening with all the things around them. So ultimately, the answer will undoubtedly come to something with personal meaning for Terry. In this case, intentionally or not, Terry's answer might be, I was struggling for credibility and vindication at my work. My boss knew how important it was to me, and my boss damaged it anyway. So this way, it like unlocks something in people when they're able to share this experience with you. It kind of gets like the unstuck energy out, and then you become this leader who really like relates to the person, sees them, hears them. This is why there's so much advice about, are you listening to the person, are you seeing them? Being seen and heard really unlocks people. Oh, okay, the book just fell. Okay, then the next question, like once you get an idea of the experience that they are having, you want to direct them to possibility. Okay, given like how things are, where is it that you're going towards? Like, what do you want to create out of this? So the next question would be designed to create an arena of possibility. So in this is something you might say. Then let me ask you something, Terry. In terms of the whole situation, if you could miraculously have your relationship with your boss altered, what would you have it be? So this is one of my favorite questions, and this is basically like, if I have a magic wand and we can do anything together possible, how would you have it be? So it's kind of like taking the attention away from the tree in front of you, into kind of trying to look at the destination you're trying to reach. So you're kind of helping this person come out of the ground and kind of see, hey, where is it that you're trying to get to? And then we'll put the attention on the forest in front of them. But like, basically, is it the mountains this way? Is it the, oh well, I see like a big lake there, are you trying to go there? What is it that you really want? So and then you have to believe that whatever possibility that Terry is going for is possible for them, and they are very much resourceful, they are smart, brilliant, they are intelligent, and they know how to get to that destination that they want, and it is possible for them. So and whatever Terry says next, you ask them, do you think that is possible? Because we don't go for something because we fundamentally think that something is impossible. So let's see. Okay, here it goes on to describe that no matter what Terry says in terms of yes or no, or like whether that's a possible, whether Terry's boss can change, boss cannot change, like we want to focus on what is it that Terry wants to create or Terry wants, given the situation as it is. So if you could miraculously have any relationship with your boss, change it, how would you have it be? Then the answers might something be like, I want more trust, or I want a little more connection. So how I tend to approach is, when people kind of broaden like this, there are a lot of solutions available, and I've seen it happen. It's magic, I'm telling you guys. It's like when you say trust, okay, how can, like, boss being however they are, how can you be a person who can trust more? How can you be a person who can connect more? However you want that boss to be, how with you, how can you be that person, with your boss? So then the ball falls into Terry's court. So then they'll come up with solutions. It looks like I am the one not trusting my boss, and I'm expecting trust from them. It looks like I am the one who is disassociating and disconnecting because of the way they are reacting. How can I have more space? Or what can I do? What are some requests I can make? Whether they agree or not. And then, like, it's my coach described to me, which was amazing, and I want to share. It's like when you are kind of in your own inner power and, like, very clear, hey, I want to build more trust, and these are some actions I can take. Then you kind of give that energy, no matter how they react. It doesn't mean that the boss will be all nice and great and everything because Terry suddenly changed, but you kind of come from a different place, like you operate from a different place. Instead of looking at everything that the boss is doing is wrong, you come from a place of, I want to build more trust with you. So if you have a conversation, if Terry has a conversation from that place, he's giving a different energy, and then the boss might react however he reacts, and then you take that energy and then try to shift to that place again, like, I want to build more trust, and then again take actions from that place. So you're changing your way of being about something instead of making everyone everything wrong. Okay, let's see. So from here, the author goes on to talk about how you can make powerful requests and how the leader um, can support Terry in framing the requests to be more clear, specific, etc., etc. And there are some examples about how Terry's boss might react, and all of that. I highly recommend that you get this book and read it. It's called The Last Word on Power. It basically talks about how to transform yourself so you can show up as someone who's really powerful, who's present in themselves, who's clear, specific, no matter how the world reacts around you, no matter how people react, no matter there is resistance or not. How can you be the someone who is like a trailblazer, or who is like the source of transformation in the organization? And it talks about all the traps that we get into because of our own ego and the way we create certain structures around us. um, let's see if one of the paradigms that she talks about is like the universal paradigm of should. I often talk about it as like the should monster. Maybe I'll get into it some other time. Another thing that the author talks about is the idea of declarations, the idea of making powerful requests, and all of them are like really good. And I can't recommend this highly enough. But the caveat is that it's really dense. The book is really dense, and you might get lost in certain ways. And because I took some training and I continue to train on leadership, I'm able to kind of put these models and whatever is explained a little bit, um, put them into make them more sensible for me so that I can apply when I'm developing leaders. But see where you get to. And in when you are coaching conflicts, the number one thing to remember is don't get into the story, don't try to problem solve yet. Like, try to get an objective perspective from the story, and then ask the question, what is bothering you most about this situation? That's the first question to ask. And then the second question is, I have a list of questions. Give me 1 second. Keep asking, like, if the person kind of distracts from that, you ask again, like, what's the hardest thing about that for you? And then what are you most worried about or afraid of? And then if you could miraculously have this be altered, what would you have it be? And what are some requests you can make, or what do you want to create? What action would be most effective no matter the truth of the story? So these are some series of questions you can ask. um, so then what will happen, you shift from problem solving mode to creating more possibility. So a sign to know whether you're creating possibility or whether you're problem solving is that the conversation will get a little more broader, in the terms of like, you start talking about qualities of what you want to create rather than the tactics or the strategy. So, like, you might get words like, I want more trust, I want more support, I want more connection, I want more vision, I want more mm, change, I want more um, passion, I want more power, I want, like, all of these abstract terms will come into the conversation, and that's when you know you're taking a little bit of a higher ground um, than the tree in front of you. All right, that's all I have for you. And if you feel called to this kind of leadership, reach out, and we can start a conversation. Something that I do is, other than one-on-one calls, I have people practice this way in groups. So then there is it's kind of like training leaders to develop leaders. It's a lot of fun, and the conversations turn out to be so amazing, and like, people come alive when these sort of conversations happen. So that's something that I do, and if you feel called to it, reach out. And the second thing is, if you have any questions about what we have spoken today, reach out anyway. I'll try to answer them. And also, I have something very exciting the next week at the same time, Friday, lunchtime Pacific. I have a friend coming in to this show, and I'll be coaching him live. And it'll be really exciting for me to demonstrate what coaching is, and kind of like what specifically developmental coaching is, and how to handle complexity. And one of the things that's really amazing about watching coaching sessions or watching other people coach or getting coached is that you receive osmosis coaching. This is a phenomenon wherein you kind of see some parts of yourself in the thing that is being coached about, and then you get some help um, by just watching. And I've always gotten a lot out of watching other people getting coached, so I highly recommend that uh, uh, if you get a chance, watch coaching sessions. And that's why I want to be doing this. It can be really powerful. So I hope you will join me again next Friday around the same time. And it's going to be so much fun. And if you have any questions or just want to say hi, reach out on LinkedIn. I'll be here. What else? That's it. Thank you so much for hanging out. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Friday and have a wonderful weekend. Bye.